Hello everyone. So again, for the sake of copyright, I will be showing gameplay instead of showing clips from the show so I don't have any risk of getting a strike. Please like and subscribe or support me on Patreon. I would love to do this full-time if possible. Also, before I get into it, this is a spoiler warning as I will be talking a lot about different moments in the show. So I finished Apothecary Diaries Season 2, and the show is amazing. It has such a unique concept and great storytelling. It is an absolute gem of an anime. I do think Season 2 is slightly weaker than Season 1, but even then, both seasons are great. I think one of the main factors in making the show great is that the main character, Mao Mao, is written so well. Everything about the character, I think, is written well. She's monotone but not boring, and direct and blunt but not annoyingly so. The way she interacts with characters, I think, is pretty unique, especially for a female protagonist. Most female protagonists in anime, I feel like, have either a tsundere attitude or like a bubbly kind of attitude. Very rarely do you have a character like Mao Mao who is very monotone and matter of fact, and I think this makes for a very unique kind of protagonist. And her character is also headstrong and inquisitive, curious and strict. She's consistent as well, and I think is a wonderfully written character. I think she's one of the GOAT female protagonists, at least as far as anime is concerned. The voice actor does an amazing job of bringing her to life. Another thing that makes the anime so good is the style of storytelling. The show is like one of those murder mystery shows where every episode or two there's a mystery to solve and you follow the protagonists as they try to solve the mystery at hand. Similar to Psych or Monk. It really throws me back, and I've always enjoyed those kinds of shows, so this was right up my alley. It's not always a murder though. Sometimes it's related to a work accident, sometimes it's making a rose turn blue even though roses are out of season, and sometimes it's helping a concubine with a worry of theirs. There are a lot of different kinds of mysteries to solve, and it is very enjoyable walking with Mao Mao and Jinshi in solving the mysteries. There is also an overarching plot as well involving the relationship that develops between Mao Mao and Jinshi, as well as a big conspiracy that develops over the course of 2 seasons involving the concubines and their pregnancies. The conspiracy that develops is done slowly and with a lot of care. Each smaller mystery they solve is another building block that builds up to a greater overall mystery, and when you are finally introduced to the antagonists of the 2 series, it is delivered with care and intention. The overarching plot, I think, is done very well. Even though they do give you little hints throughout the series, the antagonists are still shocking to find out. I don't want to spoil anything, so I won't give more details, but I'm telling you, it's written really well. In regards to the relationship between Jinshi and Mao Mao, I also think that is done very well too. Jinshi is the more proactive of the two, and is always trying to show his affection for Mao Mao, but she is the type to not notice or outright tries to ignore his affections, finding them even creepy sometimes. They both fit very well together. I can't really explain it, but the relationship that develops between the two feels pretty natural, and again, built up carefully throughout the seasons. The ending feels like a satisfying place for them to be in their relationship, and I can't wait to see how it develops next season. I also love the setting. You don't see many anime, or really any for that matter, that take place in ancient China, or a setting adjacent to it. I know they said the show does not reflect any real-life people, but it is clearly inspired by ancient China, and is such an interesting setting. It is so interesting to learn about the culture of the setting and the way the inner and outer courts of the nobles is in the setting behave, and the politics that happens between all the people in the inner court. Speaking of politics, the politics and mystery in the inner court of the palace are actually very interesting, and stories told around them are told very well. Like the mystery with the sick lady in waiting and the scented oils, the drama between the concubine and her head lady at the end of this arc were really interesting. The fact that they were sisters and yet the head lady was willing to try and kill the concubine's child, the entire arc was really interesting. The overarching plot would not be good if the smaller mysteries were not interesting as well, and the mysteries that they present are really interesting themselves. The inner court is full of different plots and mysteries, and the 2 main characters make an interesting duo in their quest to solve the mysteries and make the inner court a safer place. The side characters are also pretty interesting. The ladies in waiting that interact with the characters are all pretty enjoyable to watch. It is interesting to see how each consort's ladies in waiting are all act differently depending on the consort. Like the ones for Lady Gyokuyo are all bubbly and nice and all diligent, while the ones for Li Hua are all prideful, and the ones for Lady Li Shu are also prideful, but also not diligent and look down on Lady Li Shu. Xiaolan and Shushu are both friends of Mao. Oh, sorry, I mispronounced it. Xiaolan and Shisui are both friends of Mao Mao and are both full of energy and are hardworking. There are a lot of characters in the show, and even though I can't remember all their names, I can remember their characters since they all feel so unique. But even then, the two main characters, Mao Mao and Jinshi, steal the show. It is great watching the relationship develop, and I don't know who doesn't, but I'm pretty sure everyone ships them as a couple. I think that the show is great, with its amazing setting and memorable characters. The only thing I can think of that is wrong with the show is that the ending of season 2 is sort of a letdown. I don't know what it was about the ending that made me disappointed. Maybe it was the setting, but the ending did not feel as interesting as their day-to-day working in the palace. Still, I think the show is amazing and deserves a 9 out of 10.